Thank you so much for joining us today, Amy. We are thrilled to have the time to sit down with you and learn more about your experience serving on a board. Our objective for today's discussion is that we will help those who are already serving on a board to have the tools and information necessary to continue their service and persist in service for years to come. You not only attend WGU, but you've learned leadership qualities that have helped you in your career from serving on boards. So let's start there. How long have you been serving on a board? And if you don't mind sharing, what board do you serve on and in what capacity?
So I have served on the board of directors for the Association of Perioperative Nurses, AORN. It's our local chapter board. I've been on that for about 6 years, and I've served in different capacities from board of directors to president, and I've been doing that for quite a little time.
Great. What got you started in that organization?
So I'm an operating room nurse by trade, and that's the organization that supports me as a nurse. And I started in that organization because it provides great opportunities for me in my career. And so I joined thinking it would help me advance my career. And I'm getting involved just by attending meetings and, sharing my voice. I was asked to step onto the board, and I took a leap of faith and just did it.
That's great. So you said you've been on the board for 6 years. How long were you part of the organization before you were asked to join the board?
Probably about a year. I've been a member for about 8 years and was probably active for about a year or so, year and a half before elections came up, and I was asked to join as a board member.
So, Amy, tell us what leadership qualities you've seen in the members of the board that you've served with.
So some of the leadership qualities I've seen and have been fortunate enough to gain is organizational skills has been key. Just trying to stay on task and making sure that all of the different pieces are moving and stay together. I've also seen how important communication is, not only with the members, but with the other board members, to make sure that everybody's doing their job and that nothing gets dropped. I've also noticed that there's a lot of commitment to this. So you can't just be present half the time. You really have, it's almost like a full-time job. And you kind of have to love it to be able to do it and do it well.
So tell us a little bit more about that time commitment. And how do you organize your time so that you can commit what you need to your job, your profession, and also to the organization?
So there is a little time commitment with, I try to spend some time every week on it. There's meetings every month, except in the summertime because we take a little break. We make sure that, the members know that it's happening and that all the preparations and agenda are in place. And then we have board meetings 2 to 3 times a year, just to make sure that our goals for our chapter are being met and what needs to be done to help with that. I try to not do anything at work. I try to keep that separate from my work time. And I do try to work around my home schedule so that it's not interfering with my family or commitments there. And it's a little juggling act, but I like to be busy, so it works well with me.
That's great. I think a lot of nurses are the same. We like to have a lot on our plate. And I'm glad to hear that you can actually do all of this and still maintain that work-life balance that you want. Tell us about your experience with professional mentorship. Do you have a mentor? And what part did he or she play in helping you to get involved in board service?
So I definitely have a mentor. I've known her since I started my career as a nurse in the operating room. She was actually my educator and who hired me in my current facility. And she's been an active member of AORN for 20 plus years, served in several capacities in our local chapter. And she's actually the current president of the National AORN. She encouraged me first to just join AORN, come see what it's about. And then after attending some meetings, she said, hey, why don't you join the board of directors? And I was a little concerned about the time commitment, but she said, oh, it's no big deal. We'll help you work through it. And she's been a great support just by answering questions or giving me resources when needed. here's how to set up an agenda or to run a meeting. She gives me great reminders about when I need to do stuff. So she's been a big help in me pursuing my career with AORN, but also just my career as a nurse.
That's amazing. She sounds like she's been an integral part of your professional development. What have you learned from your mentor in terms of how you mentor or support mentees?
So I think I've learned that you have to really be involved with your mentor, and you have to have the same goals. You have to have somebody similar to you. You have to have somebody that has the same wants, the same goals, the same desires. And just by having that personal connection that I know about my mentor, I know about their kids, about their family. And so you can connect and really find ways to help them grow. And then just by being available anytime, any day, give me a call. That seems to work great.
That's great. It sounds like you have a great relationship with your mentor. So tell us about the career benefits that you've experienced in serving on a board.
I would say I've experienced some career benefits. When I started AORN, I was kind of just looking to, serve a couple of years to get it on my resume to kind of move on. And after joining, I decided that I really enjoy it. So I decided to join some committees in the department, in the operating room. And after doing that for a little bit of time, I was asked to serve on a committee for a hospital. So it involved other nurses in other departments. And it was a brand new committee. And after a little bit of time, they were looking for somebody to chair it. And since I had experience as a board director at AORN, I felt like I could really do well in that role. I knew how to create agendas and to run meetings and to really get up and speak in front of large groups, because that's something you have to do as a leader. And so I think that really helped me to branch out into the rest of the facility, which as an operating room nurse, you really don't. You kind of just stay in our little hole and that's about it. So I think it's helped me get to where I am now as a nurse manager, and I have really appreciated it.
So I think a lot of nurses are probably interested in serving on a board or being more involved. What advice do you have for those that are considering service, and what would be their best first steps?
I think one important thing is just to get involved. If you're interested in an organization, go to a meeting, see what it's about. Even if you don't know anybody, that's okay. Just go and see. You really have to be active. You can't just kind of be one of those passive members that reads the newsletter. You really have to get involved. So I would say that your first step is just go check it out. You never know what you might find.
That's great advice. What are you most proud of from your involvement and board service?
I think one of the best things that we provide as board members of AORN is continuing education for our nurses. So we actually have provided a couple of annual conferences, so we provide CEs at that. We also partner with our local vendors to give us continuing education at meetings, and those are for free. So you come to a meeting and you get free continuing education, which is really hard to come by. So I think we've got a great partnership there and can provide that for our local nurses.
That's great. So they kind of get something professionally from coming and being part of the organization. Absolutely. As well. That's great. So you're a current WGU student. How has WGU prepared you for your career and for your board service?
So I think WGU has really given me those leadership traits and the knowledge to go and apply it at my local facility, at AORN, as well as serving on my board, especially when it comes to evidence-based practice. They've given me tools to go find evidence-based practice and how to share it appropriately and implement it in my facility. So I think that was one great benefit that I learned.
Thank you. Amy, it's been great hearing your story and spending some time with you. I'd like to just close, Amy, by thanking you and giving you an opportunity to share any advice that you may have with our audience about board service.
I would just like to suggest that you get involved, that you take a leap of faith and just go check it out and see what it's about. You might really find somebody you connect with. You might find you like the organization, and you can really help others by serving on a board and being involved. And so it will be worthwhile for you personally and for your career.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.